When I try to delegate things to him, he would become attitudey, he would become angry, and he would become belligerent with me in front of other employees. It caused other employees to lose respect for me.
This is the plaintiff, Angela Ransom. She says the defendant is her cousin, and he made false allegations against her on Facebook. And now she's lost business due to his lies. Family or no family, she's not going to let him get away with ruining her good name, and is suing for $500. This is the defendant, Paul. He says all he did was comment on one of the plaintiff's former workers who complained she wasn't paid. He said he wasn't paid either, and he doesn't think that's against the law. He's accused of being nasty.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Ms. Ransom, talk to me. What happened here? The defendant is your what, younger cousin?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at some point, he decides to move from Maine to Florida. And according to you, you help him out. How do you help him out?
Well, he didn't have a job, and so I don't know how he thought he was going to pay rent, but my husband and I had bought a house for my mother, so I thought that Mr. Paul and I could help each other. So I told him, listen, I'm very overwhelmed. I have a business to run. I have a family. I look after my mother. And here's somebody in our family, you know, a man who can help us, and we can help you. So why don't you stay at the house of my mom? All I expect is, you know, pay the power bill and pay for some food and, you know, help me look after my mother. And then until you get on your feet and you can get your own place.
So the place where he was living with your mother, was he paying rent there or he wasn't paying rent?
No, I didn't charge him any rent. I just told him pay the power bill and pay for some food. He also told me he was really good in sales and he was the top salesperson where he worked and everything. So I let him come work at my insurance agency. And when he first came in, he was all gung-ho, but he wanted to head up the team meetings and be the boss to the other employees who had insurance licenses and stuff. And I was like, no, you can't come in here and just take over the company. You're entry level. And then his attitude became kind of negative, and he wanted to go outside and smoke cigarettes all the time. He didn't do his work. He kept losing applications. He didn't want to find them. So then one day he just stopped coming to work. I used to have a branch office before COVID. I used to have a satellite office. So it was a Friday, and I had a newer employee. Her name was Lynn. And on that Friday, I had to go work in our satellite office. So Lynn and Mr. Paul were alone in my headquarter office. And the following Monday, he didn't come back. So Lynn told me that Mr. Paul had spent the whole entire day berating me, putting me down, talking negative about me.
I mean, can I ask you a question, Ms. Ransom? Had there been a problem between the two of you that it was pretty obvious that, you know, things weren't going well?
Well, of course, yeah.
Before?
When I try to delegate, yes, of course, yeah. When I try to delegate things to him, he would become attitudey, he would become angry, and he would become belligerent with me in front of other employees. It caused other employees to lose respect for me. So,
why didn't you fire him?
And I was worried about him living with my mother and trying to become a leach of her. And as a matter of fact,
you see how all these are really bad ideas to set yourself up in such a position of dependency? I mean, I guess I can understand the attractiveness to having a family member with an aging mother. You know, I can kind of get that there's help involved and all that, but it could be really, really great, or it could just be, now what do I do? Because you not only employed him, you had, All right, so let's find out. You say he owed you money. What money did he owe you?
Well, he made a charge on my American Express card off of his Amazon account.
How did he have your American
Express
card?
Because I gave it to him to pay for office supplies when he was working in my office. So
did he ever tell you, yes, I did, I made a mistake? Or
yeah, he
did you
did.
guys ever
He
talk
did.
about it?
You know what? He did.
So he owed you that, and what else did he owe you?
I had bought a part for his car, and he said he was going to pay me back for that. He also, his dog had caused damage to my mother's couch, which was my father's couch, which was a 60-year-old family heirloom.
So according to you, because he owed you for the Amazon thing, owed you for a loan you'd made him, and owed you for damages to the cushion, his last paycheck, you withheld some money out of it, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you send him the paycheck, and now he's no longer your employee. Do you talk to him, and do you come to peaceful terms with him, or you guys just aren't talking to each other and he's living with your mother?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. The purpose of this law, or the reason why this lawsuit comes up, actually happens a little bit later. You end up with a problem with Lynn, where Lynn is trashing you. What's the problem that happens with Lynn?
So I had COVID and I was working at home. On the day that I was processing payroll, Lynn kept telling the receptionist to send all the calls to my house. So I didn't get payroll done until Thursday morning at 8, and I usually get it done on Wednesday. So I told Lynn...
Okay, we're talking about what month and what year? That's obviously 2020 because it's COVID, but what month?
September, Your Honor.
Oh, so this is almost a year later after he's no longer working for you and whatever else. Okay, so go on.
So Lynn, and she is also having a lawsuit. She gets on Facebook at 6:45 a.m. on the 18th of September and announces in a public forum a very ugly post with profanity and slander, telling everybody in the world in her forum, and I know I have clients in that forum, that she comes to effing work on time and she expects to GD get effing paid on time. Her paycheck wasn't even due yet when she posted that. Okay, then Mr. Paul pipes in and says, oh, I know, I used to work for her too, and she never paid me on time. It's effing illegal.
So you're suing Mr. Paul for your cousin for $500 because what? Because he said that on Lynn's Facebook account?
First of all, come to find out, he's been talking to my employee since he left and infiltrating her and speaking ill of me, my business. Okay, if he didn't want to be here and he left, that's fine. Go on. But don't come back here and try to damage my business that I've been building for 12 and a half years. He told my employee I was a drunk. He went on Facebook and posted that I was a C-word. Lynn.
Wait, which employee? Lynn. I thought you're suing Lynn. So Lynn's not going to be testifying for you today that happened, right? That's just hearsay. Do you have an affidavit from Lynn? You're not on good terms with Lynn. She's not your employee anymore.
No, I fired her after the Facebook post. But then after she left her Facebook open on my computer in my office where she was supposed to be doing work. So I found all of the chats between her and Mr. Paul where he's been talking to her, telling her I'm a C-word. He posted it on his own Facebook that I'm a C-word. He told her all kinds of ugly things. He's been infiltrating her.
Where did you, stop a second. Explain something to me, Ms. Ransom. Other than you seeing it on a computer in your office and then reading it, which is kind of a violation of someone's privacy, but yeah, they left it open in your office. It's your office computer.
They left it open in my office. Yeah, she shouldn't have even been on Facebook. I'm not
saying I wouldn't have done it. I'm just saying that maybe you weren't supposed to read it. But who else was reading it? Did you ever see it on his Facebook feed, bad stuff about you? Or did you only see him answering her comment?
I saw him answering her comment on a live in this forum where my other employees and clients
And then you saw a private message where he talked to her and called you a C-word.
Yes, Your Honor. But what he had said was not that I was a C-word. He had said that he had posted that I was a C-word. She told him he should take that post down since he's getting sued now because and he said he will take it down.
Did you ever see the post?
I didn't see that one.
And how do you come up with the figure, other than you feel that your younger cousin is ungrateful? How is it that you're out $500 by virtue? Because, you know, there's lots of other people who are a busy businesswoman who have been working for 12 years to build it and have a family and a mother to take care of. They might not bother with this. They might think, idiot, and move on. But you're claiming to be damaged to the tune of $500. How do you pick the figure $500?
Of course, it's hard to pinpoint such a thing because I'm in a community of people that I've been building. It took me 12 and a half years to make a good reputation. So there's at least one client that I know of who has stopped paying their premium, who was in that forum, Friends on Facebook with Lynn, that saw it. And so
but they could stop paying their premium for a million reasons. Do you have any proof that they stopped paying their premium? They might have stopped paying their premium because they have no money because they've lost their job thanks to COVID. You can't. So you see what I'm saying?
No, they're not going to come to
actual
me.
Damages. Let me talk to you, Mr. Paul. What exactly is going on here?
I mean, honestly, it's kind of disappointing. It's petty. And I'll be honest with you, I never stopped coming to work. I called her up and told her that I was not going to be coming to work anymore.
Why were you not going to come to work anymore?
I honestly couldn't stand working for her. She was a tyrant to work for. It was difficult, and
why? Calling her a tyrant is a conclusion. Give me an example so that I can come to the same conclusion.
She would pile things on my desk. If I didn't get them done in time, she would get mad and ask me what I had done wrong. And there was so much piled up in front of me, it was hard to keep track of it all. So she decided she was going to keep me after work for a few hours to make it happen. I had responsibilities that I had to tend to after work, so I'd usually tell her, no, I'll do it in the morning. And then I would go home, and I made sure that I took care of the house. I did a lot of renovations to the house. I took care of the pool. I took care of the outside of the house to the point where her husband would come over and would be able to spend time with his family, with her at the pool, and he would tell her, Angela, Paul did all this. I can just spend time with you because there's nothing to be done because he got it done. And the Amazon card charge in question, I was trying to make Lynn's computer split screen. So I was trying to order something online to make that happen.
So here's the thing. This is your cousin. Did you have a relationship with her before this? Like, were you guys friendly before this happened? Obviously, you must have been.
Yeah, when I was a little boy, she spent a lot of time with me, and I was very fond of Angela, which is why this is so disappointing.
So tell me about the posts and stuff.
I never posted anything on Facebook at all regarding this case or anything before it, or that Angela and I were having an issue.
So the only thing you did then was answer Lynn on her conversation with you.
Yes.
She used to withhold my check too. Always an excuse. It's effing illegal. Is that the one sentence, Ms. Ransom? She used to withhold my check too?
That's it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you have a witness, Mr. Paul. Who's your witness?
It's Lynn, actually.
Oh, is it? Oh, this ought to be good.
It is.
Okay.
Indeed.
Well then, let's swear Lynn in.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Lynn, are you getting sued also by Ms. Ransom?
Unfortunately, yes.
And what are you being sued for? The same Facebook post, slander, whatever? The same thing?
Yes, same dollar amount and everything.
So explain to me where your original comment was made. On your own Facebook account, on a private feed, on a what is it? Is this the one where everybody sees it, where you put the post?
Yes.
So my question to you is, were you ready to quit by that point? Because that's pretty much going to get you fired. Or were you just so angry you weren't thinking?
I really didn't care. I was just mad that I didn't get paid.
Okay, so was that the first time you hadn't been paid?
I was not paid on time twice.
Okay. Ms. Ransom, do you have anything you'd like to say in response to the testimony that I just heard?
Well, first of all, Lynn made her initial post at 6:45 in the morning. Her paycheck wasn't even due yet. How did she know she wasn't going to get paid on time? Secondly, every paycheck that she ever got here cleared before payday, except for that one and her very first two paychecks, which cleared on payday.
No.
And I have every single pay stub and when it cleared my account.
See, there's two things going on. One is, are these things truthful? And the other is, are saying them and not being truthful actionable? You are literally angry because you read the posts on a Facebook account between two people. Most of what you're angry about was on the private area. Ms. Ransom, you know, these slander cases are very, very tough to prove. You know, I'm looking for how you can decide that you want $500 because someone said something negative about you that, you know, perhaps maybe you should have a thicker skin about. I realize that he's your little cousin and you felt you helped him out and then you felt like he turned on you or whatever and that he should be more grateful that you were trying to give him a start. He feels like it was hell on earth while he lived here. Either way, that's, you know, your own personal business. But Really, $500 where you can't prove to me that anything negative happened? If anything, the one thing you can prove is that the person who read it was appalled and called you right away to tell you about it. Not they thought ill of you, they thought ill of Lynn. So as far as this case, the only case I have in front of me is the case with Mr. Paul is concerned. My verdict in this case is for the defendant. Good luck, folks.
So the plaintiff fails to get $500 from her former employee and her relative. Is ransom gear the plaintiff? What do you think?
You know, these cases are hard to prove. I don't have anything that shows $500. I probably lost more than $500 if you add up all the people who may have bought insurance from me and won't now because, you know, my reputation has been tarnished.
Well, it's very understandable. All right. Well, I'm sorry you lost, but that's the judge's decision. Mr. Paul, what do you think about the outcome?
I mean, the whole thing was pretty much disappointing, and this whole case is petty. I did everything that was asked of me. Her and I just didn't end up getting along at the end of the day, and I'm glad it's over.
All right. Well, that'll bring this case to a close. It's all over, and the plaintiff failed to prove her point.
There's something more powerful when you see something bad written about you on a computer screen that's out there than just so-and-so is bad-mouthing you.
Isn't it something?
You wouldn't go to court if you just heard, hey, so-and-so bad-mouthed you.
No.
You know, you'd be like,
but, you know, as we tell our children all the time, say it, forget it, write it, regret it.
Right.
And there's so many great things about social media.
Right.
So many.
Right.
You know, it keeps us incredibly connected to our children who are out of town. You know, then there's all this other bad stuff that happens. Like there's a whole trail of evidence that follows you around forever.
Yes.
You lose the empathy of speaking to somebody face to face.
looking them in the eye.
Right. You say
evaluating
cooler things.
their feelings
right.
with the things you say.
You know, if I might not say to you, you're a jerk to your face because
Right.
then I see the hurt in your eyes, but I'll
It's
say
easy
you're
to
a
type
jerk.
it.
It's easy to type it. It's so much easier to type it. So you lose the empathy, and what ends up happening is people could just end up being really mean. And I just think it hurts more. So that, you know, it's a whole
stings,
brave
and it
new
lingers.
world where people
Yeah.
have to navigate getting some thicker skin under these circumstances.
Okay, Rick wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. If you're in a car accident where you think the car is fixable, but your insurance company wants to total it, do you have to accept their decision? The answer is no. The insurance company can't force you to do what you want to do with the car, but they do have a right to decide the terms of payout under the insurance policy. So you should work with the insurance company, and you should also know that a lot of times what insurance companies offer the first time around may not be what they offer if you put the screws to them. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case inside the courtroom.
This is the plaintiff, Samantha Hill. She says she rented a vacation house from the defendant, and now the woman's claiming she caused all this damage and is refusing to return her security. This woman's making these damages up. She's here today in court because she won't allow the defendant to rip her off like this and is suing for the $900 she's owed. This is the defendant, Jacqueline Swan Delgado. She says her spectacular lake house was ruined by the unruly plaintiff and her family during a one-week rental. She has been renting for 10 years and has never kept the security until now because the way she left her house caused her to have to spend money fixing it up for the next renters. She's accused of making things up. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $3,252.59 for additional damages.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says she rented a vacation house from the defendant, and the defendant is charging her for all sorts of things that she just didn't do. But the defendant says she's been renting for 10 years and has never kept a tenant's money until now because the plaintiff trashed her beautiful lake house. It's the case of go jump in the lake.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Hill, so you rented a house from Ms. Delgado, correct?
Yes,
And where was that house?
in the Thousand Islands in Cape Vincent.
And how much were you paying for the house?
I paid the $900 security deposit plus the $1,800 for the week.
And this house was on the water?
Yes,
Now, your father had rented this house from her in the past, correct?
correct. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. So we already kind of knew the house. We already knew the owner of the house. Like, we knew she was a stickler, so I knew what I was coming into the house, like, to keep it clean. It was very much on point with that.
Were you? Because you left a ton of garbage.
So I never got the contract because she sent it to my father.
Did she never sign a contract for the rental that had all the rules and regulations?
I didn't.
I had both her and her boyfriend review the expectations when they were at the home, but the actual contract went to her father, who rented the house.
Did her father pay for the house and sign the rental agreement?
No, Samantha sent the deposit, but quite frequently, many families go together to put the deposit in, and that security deposit
I understand, but you're letting her in and know what you didn't have a signed contract.
Correct. I was expecting her father to be there, and he wasn't there yet.
Yeah, but he wasn't there. And then you have eyeballs. You see he's not there. There's no signed contract. You know he hasn't sent you one by email. So there is no signed contract. So it just slipped your mind to tell her, sign this. I need to see that you're, okay. All right, let's be honest about that. So then now, according to you, Ms. Hill, what did you think were the rules about stuff? If you didn't sign anything, your father didn't sign anything, what did you think you were supposed to do about everything?
Well, honestly, I remember asking my fiance, I was like, what day does garbage come? I was like, because garbage accumulated.
Well, did you pick up a phone and call her when garbage accumulated?
I never did. I never called her.
Okay, so you just left the garbage to be somebody else's problem. And I think it's pretty obvious that was not going to work because someone was moving in the same day you were moving out, right?
I did not know that.
Okay.
From what she said, she showed us the garbage cans. She showed us where to put our garbage, and that's where we did. And there was obviously more garbage.
And she never said to you, you know where you need to dump it? She never said to you, you know where you need to go to Okay, and let me ask you, Ms. Delgado, do you say that you told her, look at these forms, did you hand her anything in person when you realized that Dad wasn't there? Dad never sent you anything by email signed? Dad never acknowledged it. You didn't have a sign. Did you say to her, hey, let me print out, the rules. I need you to know what to do, or did that not happen?
It did. I have a two-sided document that I handed both Samantha and her boyfriend to read. And on the back of the one side, it has all the expectations of what has to be done as far as cleaning the house before they leave. And on the back, it has all the information about the transfer station, the days that it's open, and it's absolutely closed on Sunday.
Okay, did you have them sign that so that you could have proof that they acknowledge having read it?
I did not have them sign it. No, I just handed it to them to read it.
All right, so did you have a good time, Ms. Hill? You had a good time, right? Everybody had a good time?
Yeah, we had a really good time. My husband, my fiance was leaving for the military the next weekend. My kids were about to go to school. Like, we just wanted to spend a good weekend with the kids, and they had an amazing time. We had a really good time. The house is beautiful. It's right on the water. We had no complaints besides the bugs.
So, Ms. Delgado, when you came in, besides the bugs, tell me about that.
There was already a bunch of gnats on the outside of the house, which is normal. You're on the water. I was totally prepared for bugs. But we couldn't even use the 2 bedrooms that were facing the road, infested with gnats. Literally, my kids slept in the living room.
So what you guys did was you put tape on the windowsills.
Yeah.
Did that end up helping?
It did.
Well,
she's
she's really mad about that. Okay, but then you didn't take the tape off, did you? Stop a second. No. That's not the point.
Sorry.
You put tape all over the bedrooms, and then you just leave it that way. And so when she claims that when she took it off, there was damage, and you guys left it that way. I mean, that's not small. Do you have any proof that the tape that was removed damaged the windows?
I did not take pictures of the tape, the damage removed. I had the painter come and inspect it. And he's the one that gave me the estimate.
And what?
For
And
the
give you
repair that needed to
he
be
gave
done.
you an estimate for just a second. He gave you a repair for redoing windows. I need to see that there's proof that the windows need redoing. Anybody can give you an estimate for what it costs to redo windows. I need to know that they needed redoing. That means you take the tape off and you show how she damaged it. You see? Now, Ms. Delgado, when you transfer the house to them, when you meet with them and you're showing them stuff and you're walking through stuff, after you had accepted the deposit, you all of a sudden hear about a service dog, correct?
That is correct. I got a phone call from Quentin, her boyfriend, explaining that a child needed a service dog. And we do not have dogs allowed at the house. Not under any circumstances have I had dogs at the house for many reasons. And because he made this sound very important, this child needed her service dog, I was not in a position to not allow a service dog to the home.
And then what
He
happens is on the
guaranteed me
day
that
that
there
you're
weren't
giving
going
them
to be.
the house, there's not one dog, there's 2 dogs that they brought, right?
That is correct.
And did you say anything to them about how many service dogs do you need? Like, what is this? Are you just bringing all your pets? Did you say anything, or you just kept your mouth shut?
I kept my mouth shut. He acknowledged that he was going to make sure that the house was clean, spotless. He assured me that Samantha is a clean, meticulously clean person, and I would not have to worry about the dog or the kids or my house.
Okay. So then what happens is the week goes by, you don't hear from anybody, right?
Correct.
And you go to the house and they are not there. Had they told you that they were leaving early?
No, they did not.
All right. So what do you find when you get there?
So I went to the guest house for a little bit, and I didn't see any stirring at the house because the house is pretty close. And so I waited till about 10:30, maybe about 10:45, and I went and knocked at the door and opened the door and said hello. Nobody answered me, and it was silent in the house. So then I proceeded to walk in because the house was open.
You let's go through the pictures that you introduced into evidence. This is a picture of a screen, and the screen has several rips in it. Did it have any
Correct.
of that when you gave it to her?
No.
All right. What do you think happened? You think maybe the animal with the nails and, ripped it, I guess?
Yes.
This is debris that you swept up?
Correct. That shows
What does this picture
probably ground in food, possibly little raisins or cranberries. That this floor was supposed to be washed before they left.
What is
Yes.
that?
Yep. That is the first pass on about a 10 by 10 foot area. That's the first pass. I changed that bucket about 15 times to clean the floor.
Okay. Were you doing that right before the new tenant was going to come in?
I was doing it while they were there. I had to ask them to please wait.
Is this the garbage they left?
Yes.
So what ended up happening? Did you have to drive back to address the garbage issue?
I took about a third of the garbage home with me that initial day. I filled the back seat and the front seat, rolled the windows down, and put the air conditioning on. It was putrid.
How far is
normally
the drive
takes
for
3
you?
hours. It's 3 hours, but it took me 5 because I had to stop and get out of the car frequently.
I mean, Ms. Hill, do you understand what the problem is? I don't know what you thought anybody was going to do with all this garbage. All right, these are the famous windows with the gnats and the tape. And, well, this one kind of, I guess you were pulling the tape up, but where's the damage? All right,
Everything that they taped is all wood. It's all painted wood.
That's wood, it's not metal. Okay, so if I'm supposed to see that lifted the paint, why can't I see it in this picture? Did you ever give her a list of the things that are the reason why you were keeping the security deposit?
I did. I sent everything to her father.
But why do you keep saying her father?
Because the house was rented to her father. I did not get any other information that Samantha and her boyfriend were the renting people.
All right, so you call the father and you tell him what the heck, and you go through this stuff with him. Did you send him a written list of why you were keeping the security deposit? With
I did not
prices?
send a written documented list. No.
But you do have a counterclaim for all of this stuff. So I'm going to handle everything at once, but you need to understand what the law is in your state and what is required of you so you can do it the right way the next time, because one of the things that a judge can do if they think that was done on purpose and that you're being sly about things is double the recovery for the plaintiff on this. So you need to be very, very careful about that kind of thing. So you refuse to give back the $900, and you're saying, as a matter of fact, now that you mention it, because she's suing you for return of it, you say to her, I'll see you that $900 and raise you another $3,252.59. So you're going to have to prove to me that there is $4,152.59 worth of damages. So let's go through it. Window repair. Is the estimate for new screens $175.96 from Home Depot?
I don't have it right in front of me, but it has 3 window screens and 2 sliding screens.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's $175.96 plus $171.30. Then you drove up to get the garbage out, and you are asking for reimbursement of your time and mileage. What is it you're asking for that amount?
I can explain to you that I had to have my son take off time from work. I had to take off time from work. I did not put in my rate of how much I would charge if I had to get paid to work all day and my son to work all day. We're professionals. I just charged our minimum wage and the hours that it took us to
Well,
leave
let me ask you
Rochester,
something, though.
come
She
up.
says that the document, right, but she says that the document that you sent her says, oh, by the way, if you leave garbage behind, I keep $100. Is that true?
If you leave garbage in the house.
Garbage.
We're not talking about
Yeah.
a week's worth of refuse. Very different.
I don't know. Let me see your document. No, there's nothing about inside the house or anything. You're trying to charge $700 for the garbage. I know you're mad, but your own contract says, note, $100 fee is charged if any garbage is left on site. On site, which is what she did. So why should you be able to get any more than 100 if that's what your understanding to, the understanding you give to people through the contract, you know? All right, then you are complaining that they broke the hammock to the tune of $745.18, and you want a brand new hammock. According to you, they broke the wheels. Proof to me that they broke the wheels of the hammock.
In the pictures that show the screen broken and my finger in it, you can look through it and you can see pictures of the wheels. They're flattened and the frame is bent.
I don't see where the proof is that there's a deflated wheel and you are entitled to $800. I mean, how am I supposed to see that from that picture? Why don't you just, I got an idea. If you want $800, why don't you just take a picture of the deflated wheel and then give me proof that it can't be replaced? That would be a better way to prove you're entitled to $800 for that, right? Rather than how you're telling me to look through a screen, look at this picture, and see that the entire hammock is ruined, which I don't see. I don't know if those wheels need a little air. I don't know what happened. But you want $800 for that? You want a brand new hammock for that? I mean, you don't think you're overreaching a little bit? All right, let's see the next thing in your lawsuit that you want to be reimbursed for. Kitchen sink cabinet replacement. Why would the whole kitchen sink cabinet need to be replaced?
Because it was soaking wet and warped from the water sitting in it in those bags.
Do you have a picture of that? Do you have a picture of the actual, stop. I don't see a picture of damage to the interior of the cabinet. So I can't order her to reimburse you for something that you can't show me a picture for. So I find that there's insufficient proof of that. Let's go to the next item that you're keeping for. Garbage removal, we've talked about. Thorough house cleaning, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm looking through your claim. I'm here to tell you, Ms. Hill, that if you think you left that in an adequate condition, you shouldn't be renting houses because you don't understand what the rules are. And that is not an adequate condition. You left it filthy. There was food all over the floor. You left garbage in all of the garbage cans, okay? You left bags because they're useful to somebody else. No, you leave no footprint when you rent somebody's house. Everything you take in has to leave because you are not the arbiter of whether someone else is going to want your refuse, okay? You left 8 bags of garbage in the side of the house that became a tremendous problem for her. It's probably the thing she's most mad at. You know, you really left it filthy. You know, she had to sit there and break her back cleaning up for the next person all in a hurry, all right? She's angry because you really did leave it a wreck. I'm giving you all the grief because you're the only person I can talk to. I know there were a lot of people staying there. It's everybody's job, not just yours, because you're the mom. It's everybody's job to live, but you know, since you're the litigant and you're coming to court, you're the only person I can talk to. Your crew left this really messy and dirty, and that's a problem for the next person. Nobody wants to move in. If you had seen raisins all over the floor and garbage and all the garbage cans and tons of garbage, would you have rented the house? I'm pretty clear that you would not have accepted it that way. You would have turned around and looked at Mr. Delgado and said, are you out of your mind? Clean this place up. Well, that's obviously what the next crew was going to say. So, yeah, there's a cost to that, all right? Maybe not $4,000 something like Ms. Delgado wants the cost to be, but a cost nonetheless. Based on what you have been able to prove, I find as follows. You're entitled to the money for the screens. There's no doubt in my mind that the animals did that, and that's the reason why you don't allow animals. You're certainly entitled to the $200 for cleaning. That's for darn sure. The thing that I keep going back and forth on is the garbage, because Ms. Hill wants the benefit of that contract without having signed the contract. And I'm just wondering, why should that happen? Why shouldn't it be closer to what your actual damages were or closer to what I think is fair? When in fact, nobody ever signed a contract. And according to her, she didn't even see it. So she couldn't have been relying on it because she didn't even see it. I find that you're entitled to keep $200 for the garbage because I don't think she gets to take advantage of a contract that according to her, she didn't even see. There's no reason why I should stick to that. And what ended up happening was causing a lot more grief than $100. Therefore, I find that you're entitled to keep $747. You're certainly not entitled to get an additional $3,000 something, and that means that the plaintiff is entitled to some money back in the amount of $152.74. That is my verdict for the plaintiff in the amount of $152.74. Good luck, folks.
Ms. Delgado, the defendant, I know you wanted a lot more money. What are you thinking? You're going to have to give her back $152, I think, of that security you're holding.
Yeah, I think that's pretty unacceptable for the amount of damage that the tape did to the windows. It was a very large part of this to get those windows back. They're brand new windows and they were damaged because she felt that it was necessary to use packing tape all over brand new windows. So there's still quite a bit of damage.
Ms. Hill, I think you are very lucky to get anything back. How do you feel about it at this point?
I mean, honestly, most of the pictures that she had didn't show any damage. There was no actual damage. The biggest thing was the garbage. Besides that, there was no damage left behind, and I cleaned thoroughly before we left. There was a little dustpan and inside of a garbage can that she was complaining about.
Anyway, you're getting $150 back. You should thank your lucky stars. Okay?
Thanks.
Well, that's one of the things about renting a place. You want to leave it as clean or cleaner than it was when you got there.
Yeah, she didn't get the place that way.
No.
Okay, so whether she had a signed contract that told her what the rules were, she needed to pick up a phone and call and say, hey, there's gnats, what should I do? Can I put tape on the window of your house?
Right.
No, don't put tape on the window, I'll be right up. And then leaving the garbage there. She knows she didn't get the house that way. You have to leave the house exactly how you got it.
Exactly. Hey, 20 years ago, you and I were given like 3 or 4 days at your good friend's house in the mountains in North Carolina. And we went there, we had the best time. We had our first child was with us. And I remember the day before we left, you just all of a sudden said, listen, we're going to leave this place unbelievably clean. And you put me to work.
And he had said to me, listen, this is my parents' house.
Right, it's got to be.
It's got to be clean. My parents are going to use it after you leave. And I said, I promise you, Tim, it's going to be super, super clean. I promise you.
You had me turning over the cushions on the sofa and the chairs to look underneath them and make sure there's not crumbs or extra stuff.
We vacuumed under these things.
Underneath the cushions. And what did you find under one
of
the
cushions? A gold watch.
A gold watch that had been missing for like
10, 15 years. The parents hadn't found it.
Grandma's gold watch.
Right. So I left it on the counter with a note. We found that under such and such a chair. And Tim calls us when we got back and said, oh, my mother was so happy. She had been missing that watch for 15 years.
A family heirloom was discovered because you made me clean underneath the stinking cushions.
That's right. I recall that I was the one cleaning, but yeah, okay.
That sounds unlikely.
Okay, Daniel from St. Louis wants to know this. Hey, Harvey. Huge fan and have been watching since the Watner days. You're making me feel old now. Was he really as stern and no nonsense off the bench as he was on?
Yes. He was great. I mean, he really was. He did not suffer fools, and sometimes I was one. But he would tell you when he was unhappy, that is for sure. And honestly, it's what made him a good judge, and it's what made him entertaining. Remember, this was at a time when we hadn't seen judges on TV. So, you know, when you get played by Dustin Hoffman, who's really a fan of your show, you're doing something right. See you next time.